Make room in the trophy case. We have got another UND championship to talk about on this edition of North Dakota Hockey Central. I'm Alex Heinert. Great to have you with us for the next half hour inside college hockey's greatest program. Coming up, we will celebrate UND's dramatic run to the 2021 Frozen Faceoff title with Brad Berry and hear how the team's 8-member senior class has become so close. First, though, it is time for another installment in UND's award-winning web series, Through These Doors. Enjoy.
Well, to start it off, as soon as I see someone else cry, I'm going to start crying too. So that's what started it. But also just living with those guys too, I guess it meant a little more. But yeah, no, seeing them skate around like that, their last game, I guess not last game, but last regular season game, it was, yeah, it was pretty sad.
Before the Frozen Faceoff commences at the Ralph, the players take this juncture in time to reflect on special moments throughout the season.
It was pretty special. It's definitely something I'll never forget. It's always nice to get your first goal of the season out of the way, then they kind of start coming. But no, it was just a great pass by Kierce, and I was lucky enough to get it past the goalie. And it was a pretty high intensity game too. It's a pretty big rivalry. I actually had my coach text me just about the rivalry because he coached there at Denver, and he just said it's an awesome rivalry and just live in the moment and have fun. And it was definitely a special moment for me.
I think going into the game and during the game, I felt really good, and I felt like I should score that game. And lucky enough, I got a good opportunity to. I had a few good opportunities that game, and luckily one of them was good enough to go in the net. So. I think obviously scoring that first one in that UND sweater was a pretty cool feeling, and I think it's something that I'll never forget.
I gotta say, in the pod when we were playing St. Cloud, I made a glove save, and I forget what game was. I think it was the second time we played them. I kind of went all over Twitter, and the guys gave me some crap for it, but I think that's my most favorite save this year.
The Penrose is the situation that sticks out in the season. Obviously a super special night. And, yeah, I think if I think back to the pod, it's just so many good memories there with guys. And I think mainly off the ice, we had such a great time off the ice. And I think that really just took our team to another level. And
what are you doing?
How is it?
What are you doing, man?
Is it cold?
Such a weirdo.
Guys bonded away from the rink and, always playing pool or darts or foosball or whatever it was. We were always just in such a tight space together doing stuff. So honestly, if anything sticks out, I think it was just the camaraderie around the hotel and just getting to know all the guys.
Newcomers to the program have a unique perspective in terms of forming bonds and learning about the conference for the first time.
The one game we had against Duluth, and obviously the series against Omaha and Denver, there's pretty heated rivals there. So anytime we can really have a game that there's so much on the line, and obviously the physicality ramps up and everything, all the emotions. So I think those are really fun games to play in as well.
I felt like my offensive game is kind of it's getting a lot better throughout the year. And I have to thank the guys for that too in practice. Just seeing what they do. Defensemen and forwards, the moves that they do, I kind of look at and try to implement that in my game. And just watching hockey too, watching all the high-end defensemen on all the teams, just seeing what they do and getting ideas to do that on the ice. And Coach Gehring does a great job with us defensemen just to try to increase our offensive ability, and we work on that all the time in practice. So just doing the reps and being confident enough to do in the games, I think that's a big thing for me.
After playing the last 4 games against Omaha, the guys look forward to lacing them up against a new opponent.
Yeah, I think it's exciting to play some new players, obviously. You play the same team so many times. It's, I mean, I guess it's fun. You develop some good rivalries and stuff, but I think it's just exciting for the guys to, kind of see another team and just play against some different players that have different tendencies. So, we're super pumped up and ready to go for Friday.
I think it was really good. The guys have a lot of energy and a lot of jump. Obviously, it's kind of feels a bit like a little bit of a fresh look, and I think we know it's kind of crunch time now, and I know the guys are going to be ready, and we can't wait to get out there on Friday.
KG was making fun of LaDucer for his music, but I backed him up on it. I liked the Lady Gaga, and I was having fun out there. I was in a good mood. I was dancing, moonwalking a little bit, but no, I love when they turn on the music in the Ralph. It's a good time.
We had some throwback tunes going there. I'm not exactly sure who was on the aux, but don't mind a few throwbacks once in a while. Still, I didn't hate it.
Thanks to Tyler Hastad, Chad O'Shea, Cassie Niles, and UND's entire Through These Doors team. We are just getting started on North Dakota Hockey Central this week. When we come back, Brad Berry joins us to relive a Frozen Faceoff to remember. Stay tuned. Welcome back to North Dakota Hockey Central. Time to catch up with UND head coach Brad Berry, who joins us from inside Ralph Engelstad Arena after another championship-winning week. Brad, first off, congratulations to you and the team on the program's first Frozen Faceoff title, another special accomplishment for this group.
Yeah, thanks, Alec. It was very exciting to capture the first one here at North Dakota from the NCHC.
Let's look back now over how you got it done, starting with the quarterfinal win over Miami on Friday. How big of a tone setter for the weekend was the opening 5 minutes in that contest?
Yeah, it was. It was one of our first keys of the game. Every game we usually have 4 or 5 keys to try to have success, and that was the very first one, knowing that it was our playoffs. We didn't have the playoffs last year due to COVID, and now that we get to the postseason play to start our first playoff game, that was the first key of trying to get out to a fast start, and we did that night.
Reese Gaber got your 4th goal in that Miami game to snap a 12-game goal drought. He would go on to play a huge part in your eventual championship win a few days later. How important was this goal in the quarterfinals for his confidence?
Yeah, you know what? It was very important for Reese, and I think he had an outstanding first half in the pod. He scored a tremendous amount of goals and had some points in the pod, but then it became a little more difficult for him to hit the score sheet in the second half. He was still playing well, but wasn't putting up the numbers, and I think it was kind of wearing on him a little bit. So for him to come out and kind of break out in the playoffs, it was great, and it culminated into a very productive weekend for him.
You would go on to beat the Redhawks 6-2 to set up a semifinal on Monday against a Denver team with their season on the line. This felt like an old school playoff hockey game, didn't it?
It sure did. First of all, you have the rivalry side of it, with us and Denver going back a long way, and they're always intense and heated and very competitive. But then you put the playoff aspect into it too, and I know that we've pretty much solidified a NCAA tournament bid, but they were on the bubble, and they had a lot of desperation and urgency in their game, and it showed, and it was a very hard-fought battle.
Trailing 1-0 with 2:54 left in regulation, you chose to pull your goaltender. What led to that decision to bring on the extra attacker with that much time left?
Well, going back with previous experience as a player and coaching experience here in North Dakota, probably one of the best was Dean Blaze at pulling the goaltenders early. And I think is one of the things I learned from him is that if your top players are rested and ready to go, and it's a offensive zone face-off, there's no better time than to put them out there and and pull the goaltender to go 6-on-5. And, we were lucky enough to, get a couple of timeouts. We had one, they had one, and kind of got our guys rested a little bit and reorganized to score that goal.
That decision led to Jasper Weatherby's equalizer off a shot from Shane Pinso to push the game to overtime, where Gavin Hayden would eventually get the game winner. You've not had to come from behind very often this season. What did you see from your group that allowed it to happen Monday nights?
Well, just the belief in our team, and again, you just pointed out there about not coming from behind a whole lot this year. That's a luxury that we had, but I think it's meant for a reason, a purpose. At the end of the year of getting these reps in, knowing that hopefully we won't in the NCAA tournament have to play from behind, but knowing that if we do, we can do it. But there was a belief in this playoff series this weekend here at the Ralph, knowing that we haven't done the situation of winning a NCHC championship trophy in the playoffs here, and we wanted to really desperately do that, and I thought our guys did a good job of that.
Yeah, certainly. Well, you didn't have a lot of time to reset after that emotional win late on Monday night as you played St. Cloud State in the title game just 20 hours later. How did you navigate that turnaround from Monday to Tuesday?
Two things, energy and positivity. It's one of those things where, you're coming up a pretty emotional high of winning an overtime game, and you always kind of fall into that kind of sit back approach after you win a big game against Denver in overtime. We wanted to reset right away. We wanted to turn the page, knowing that we had one more game in front of us to get to that box that we really wanted to check here, and I thought our guys did an outstanding job of that. You know what, to be honest with you, that was going to be our third game in 5 days. A lot of top-end players played a lot of hard, heavy minutes, and energy was going to be a big thing, but staying positive and having that energy in our locker room was a big deal.
You trailed 2-1 in the final, entering the third. What was the message during that second intermission?
Well, here we go again, right? And again, it was that message, and we put that message within our group a few weeks ago, talking about the journey and enjoying it. And I think this is a time of year, whether you're a 4-year vet or whether you're a first-year freshman in here, that tendency is in postseason play, sometimes there's nerves and sometimes there's anxiety a little bit as far as taken away from your game, and we don't want to do that. We just kind of empowered our players to say, hey, you know what, the journey's ahead. There's going to be great times where we're ahead by 2 or 3 goals, and there's going to be situations where we're going to be down in the game. But let's enjoy it. Let's embrace it. And I thought our guys did.
Yeah, they certainly did. What followed was an incredible 5-minute stretch of hockey that saw you score 3 times in 2 minutes and 2 seconds to go ahead 4-2. What stood out to you during that sequence?
Yeah, just kind of putting shifts together, one on top of each other. One line would go out and sustain some pressure in their end of the rink, and then another line would go out and we would keep doing it in waves, and I think it kind of put the other team on their heels, and we didn't let them take a breath, and that's a big deal, especially when goals were hard to come by against Denver, and in that case in St. Cloud, that there was a belief and approach to it that we're going to be relentless, and they had that relentless attitude all through the third period.
You would go on to win 5-3 to claim the program's 12th conference tournament title. What does it say about this team that it's the first to win both the regular season championship and the Frozen Faceoff in the same year?
Well, I think they're making up for lost time, and lost time last year of not getting an opportunity to do it. And Jordan Kawaguchi, very emotional guy. He wears his heart on his sleeve every single night, and what fitting way to go out his last game in the Ralph Engelstad Arena, scoring the last goal here as an empty netter and capping it off. And I think it's just a situation where these seniors are leading the way with our group here, and knowing that they want to add to the tradition.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to talk more about that in a bit. A special group, a special team, and they're not done yet. We will talk about your prospects at the Midwest Regional next week. Until then, Brad, thanks again for the time. Congratulations on another box checked.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Alex. Thanks for everything you guys do.
Yeah, our pleasure. When North Dakota Hockey Central returns, we will hear from those 8 seniors Brad mentioned a moment ago. Join us for a walk down UND hockey memory lane after this. Welcome back. North Dakota Hockey's senior class of 2021 is as tight a group as you will find anywhere, a fact made more impressive considering none of them knew each other when they arrived on campus 4 years ago. For their full origin story and more, here's Peter, Gabe, Matt, Grant, Colin, Josh, Jackson, and Jordan.
When I first got here, it was kind of a shocker. You come to the airport, there's only 2 gates, and then you kind of drive in and see the campus, and you see how big the Ralph is, and it just kind of was breathtaking, and I fell in love with the place.
I came to North Dakota first. I toured here. That was my first college that I visited, and I left. I was just in awe.
On my visit when I came to watch, I was here for the Friday night game, and it ended up being a bit of a blowout, and it was cool to see all the fans and just the atmosphere, and obviously that was a pretty big selling point as well.
I had some other visits lined up for after coming here, but then I didn't even get out of Grand Forks on the way out before I called Coach Barry back and told him I was going to come here.
I went on 2 visits before here, liked some schools, but wasn't really convinced. And then, I think once you see a game here, it's pretty tough for any recruit to turn that down.
I just remember being nervous. I just remember I didn't really know anybody coming in. I think I knew Nick Jones and Rhett Gardner.
The summer before freshman year, I remember a lot of games of Monopoly in the dorms with the guys.
We were young and dumb. I'll put it like that. I don't know. We didn't know anything else. We were just having fun and hanging out in the dorms and playing Xbox all day. And man, I wish we could go back to that.
Spending that 6 weeks, kind of getting to know each other and just basically being locked in together and not having a lot else going on was a pretty awesome start to the 4 years here. My freshman, sophomore year was kind of tough. We were bouncing around above the 500 mark and we couldn't find a way to score goals.
I think one of the toughest things looking back on that year was games here and there where we were just, maybe one shot away from winning a couple games and we would have been in the tournaments.
And, as a team, we couldn't seem to find a way to consistently get rewarded.
But, I think the thing that I learned from those 2 years was just how to be resilient and not focus on that, just come in with a clean attitude each and every day.
I think just not taking any nights off would probably be the biggest learning from those first 2 years. We all kind of grew up a little bit and matured and kind of realized that and had a different mindset going into every weekend.
I think honestly that's why our group is so close, is because especially the older guys, because we've seen each other at our worst, and now we're kind of seeing each other at our best.
I think to kind of get back on that page is something that you bring pride in, and to look back and think that we might have had one of the best teams in a long time here at this program is something that I'll always remember. And
last year we had such a successful season. To have it end the way it did was really, again, very difficult for us. So our class, I know we came back with a lot of fire this year that it's our last shot. We got a lot of goals. We got a lot of expectations for ourselves. To see the commitment from our group, especially when guys like Jordan having a spectacular year, guys like Kierstead taking big steps and could move on last year. I just remember, selfishly hoping they would come back. Obviously I want nothing but the best for those guys, but just, it wouldn't be the same.
We all said from day one that we wanted to come here and win a national championship, and obviously we haven't achieved that goal yet, and I think that was a big reason why we all came back after the last season.
As a class, we've just sat there and talked about how we want to win a national championship, and obviously we haven't played in the national tournament yet. I think this year we have an opportunity to do something very special.
That group is just the second class in program history to spend 4 years together without losing a single member. That's all the more impressive when you consider how many of them could have signed pro contracts in the offseason. They have captured 2 of the major trophies they all came back to pursue this year. And when North Dakota Hockey Central continues, we will discuss details regarding the last prize on their agenda. That's next. Welcome back. Let's take a look now around the college hockey world, beginning with the glance at the 10 finalists for college hockey's greatest individual award, the Hobey Baker. Among them is UND sophomore Shane Pinso, who becomes the 21st player in program history to be named a Hobie finalist and the second in as many years. The lone NCHC representative on the list, Pinto led the league in goals, points, face-off wins, and face-off win percentage. So it's not exactly a surprise that he was unanimously named the league's player of the year. Shane was also the NCHC Forward of the Year and Defensive Forward of the Year, and was one of 4 individual award winners from UND, along with Goaltender of the Year Adam Scheel, Defensive Defenseman of the Year Jacob Bernard Docker, and now 3-time Coach of the Year Brad Berry. Meanwhile, Pinso, Scheel, Jordan Kawaguchi, and Matt Kierstead all garnered first-team all-conference nods, while Bernard Docker landed on the second team, and Colin Adams gained honorable mention all-NCHC status. Freshmen Reese Gaber and Jake Sanderson both made the league's all-rookie team as well. This week's USCHO.com poll looks a lot like last week's ranking, at least in the top 10. The teens, however, which is basically the NCAA tournament bubble, are where things get interesting. Omaha is down a spot to number 12 after their quarterfinal loss in the Frozen Faceoff, while the team that beat them, Denver, is still just outside the top 20. We will find out whether the Mavs or the Pioneers get into the NCAA tournament on Selection Sunday, March the 21st at 6 p.m. on ESPNU. We know UND will be playing in the Midwest Regional in Fargo on March 26th, but we will find out their first-round opponents as well as the other 3 teams in their region that night. You are invited to join us next week for a full preview of the Midwest Regional and more here on North Dakota Hockey Central. Until then, on behalf of our MidcoSN crew, I'm Alex Heinert. Congrats again to UND on the Frozen Faceoff title, and thanks for watching.